Okay, good morning, welcome. We'll start again. Welcome to Tuesday Yoga, everybody. All right, so we're gonna start on our backs, and I'm going to take my blocks under my knees. So you guys can choose where you wanna use the support. If you wanna get a little heart opening underneath your shoulder blades. And let's all come into a comfortable space. Take your arms overhead, take a nice deep breath in, and then open mouth, exhale. Just let everything settle. And do that again. Stretch the arms overhead. Inhale. You can take your toes in the other direction as well. And then open mouth, exhale. And this time let your arms come back by your sides. They can rest on top of your body, on your belly and your heart, or they could just stay by your sides, wherever is comfortable, wherever lets your body soften, your shoulders get heavy, any other parts of your body that are touching the mat, the muscles on your face soften, your eyelids can get heavy. And just start to come into the breath, start to watch it, start to see its easy pace, flowing in and out through the nose. Starting maybe with a few deep rounds of breath, and then settling in. And then while you're watching the breath and letting your body settle, check in with the head as well. Notice what's going on in there this morning, what's swirling around the front of the head, what kind of thoughts, lists, emotions, and just try to push them aside, send them to the back, and use the breath to fill up that space. Let's take another 3 rounds of breath here, just easy, filling up and deflating. And then whatever types of props you might have, just move them aside, stretch everything long, feet in one direction, arms overhead again. Inhale, lengthen. And this time as you exhale, bring your hands through to your heart center. And let's just pause here to set our intention or dedication. Breathe it in. Try to fill up the front of the head with that intention, that thought. Whenever you're ready, release your hands and then hug your knees into your chest. Make a nice tight ball. You can lift your shoulders and head off the earth. If that feels good, maybe rocking a little side to side. Maybe make some small circles. Just take a few breaths here to really find the back body. Use your own body weight to massage the back of the spine, the muscles all along there. And then come into a happy baby. Open up the knees wide. Send the soles of the feet to the sky. Grab the outer edge of the feet or the big toes of the peace fingers. And then keeping your shoulders heavy and your tailbone heavy. Try not to roll the tailbone up off the earth, but keep it nice and heavy there. Then let the knees drop toward the earth, toward your armpits, to whatever degree your body allows. And just start to open up through the hips. You can bring a tiny bit of movement side to side, if that feels good. Just bringing the breath into the hips. And then from here, open up the legs wide, send the heels toward the corners of the room. You might be up high, you might be open wide. And just let the inner thigh start to lengthen a little bit. Again, you can keep that movement or just take a few breaths in stillness here. And then we're going to take this movement and bring ourselves all the way to an upright position. So start to give yourself a little rock and roll momentum. You're going to use your core here as well to eventually come up to the best that you can. Sitting up nice and tall through the spine, lifted through the heart. Maybe let go of the toes for a breath or two and really engage the core. And then hug everything in, just make a nice little ball and drop the feet back down. And we'll just start with a little bit of work on the mat before we move anywhere else. So let's start in Baddha Konasana. If you were like this on the earth, just maybe noticing, if you were in the reclined version, noticing how this might feel different in the upright. So we're going to start with our pelvis and heels close together. So try to scooch yourself close so the space between gets limited. And then you can interlace your fingers underneath the toes. And again, sitting up nice and tall through the spine. And you can lean your whole body forward into this, leading with your heart to increase the sensation here. But want to make sure that we're not rounding for this first one. Stay up as tall as you can. Just taking a few more breaths here, letting the body settle into this. Take another breath in and then come up. And let's move the feet away from the pelvis. So you make that nice big diamond shape with your lower body. So your heels are about, 18 inches or so away from your pelvis. And now we're going to round the spine, bring the forehead toward the heels. So if you have a pillow or a block or something, you can use that so that your head can try to rest on it as a support. You can come down. Some of you might bring your forehead all the way into your heels, and that's fine. And some of you might just stay up tall. But if you can bring something for your head to rest on, letting the back of the neck and the shoulders just get a little softer. But trying to bring the roundness, especially to the lower back, and just release through there for a few more breaths. Let's take 2 more full breaths here. Using an inhale, come on back up. And let's stretch the legs out long. Give a little shake. Turn back to face this way. And we'll come into our staff pose. So sitting up nice and tall, maybe moving the flesh behind the backs of the legs and behind the rear so that your sit bones are grounded, flexing through the heels, toes pointing up toward the sky or maybe back toward your face a little bit. And let's start with the hands behind for support. So opening through the collarbones, through the chest and the sternum, using your core, staying a little bit engaged there to help you keep that spine nice and long. Flexing through the heels so the backs of the legs start to lengthen. And then let's take the arms overhead. Take an inhale. Really lengthen it up. And then exhale, we're going to come into our forward fold, but let's bend the knees. So bring the hands down to the earth and bend the knees a lot so that they meet your chest. I'll turn back this way again. It's easier to see. So that you come in contact. But we want to still be going for a little bit of length here. So try not to round so much, but still staying nice and flat with the back. Your hands can come to anywhere on your body here. Maybe they just rest on the mat. And so everyone's knees will be bent to a different degree. Mine are bent a lot here. I'm just going to take my time getting into this. Some of you might be a little bit more lengthened, and that's fine. As long as you're letting your body slowly ease into the pose. Let's take another full breath. Inhale, come on back up. And let's open the legs wide. So come into your straddle. A wide enough straddle that for you feel a little sensation through the inner thigh, maybe through the hamstrings a little bit as you flex your heels. Again, sitting up nice and tall, bring the hands in front, and then just start to walk them forward until you feel the sensation where you want to stop there and breathe. So for me, it's just a very little bit. Some of you, again, might come down more forward. You might come down to forearms, and a lot of you might stay up tall. So just find the place where your body can ease into this, starting to bring some length, sending the breath there. Again, flexing through the heels, trying to make sure the knees also stay directed up toward the sky. So if you feel your legs rolling forward, as you roll forward, bring your chest and your torso back upright. You can also kind of put your hands right underneath your knees there to encourage them to stay directed toward the sky. Just taking a few more breaths here. And then starting to walk all the way back up to vertical. And staying in the straddle, we'll come into our side stretch. Bring the right hand down, left fingertips high. Take an inhale and really feel that left rib cage lift up. And then as you exhale, take it over to the right. Keep your heart and your rib cage opening to the front. And really trying to just create that length on the side of the body. Taking a few more breaths here, letting your body just soften on its own into the pose. And with your next inhale breath, come back up to center. We'll take the other side. Left hand resting, right fingertips high. Take an inhale, lengthen up, and then exhale, take it over to the left. Reaching the fingertips. Feeling the rib cage expand and lengthen. With your next inhale, come on back up. Back to center, and then let's bring the legs back together, back into our staff. Just give them a little shake. And then let's just cross them over into an easy seat. You can come into a half lotus if that's comfortable, or just a cross-legged. And take an inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, drop them down your back. And just a couple times in each direction, as big or as small as your body is feeling. Take the opposite direction. I started moving my shoulders back, so now I'm rolling them forward. And then coming back to neutral, and that's inhale, both arms high. And then exhale, just open to the right. Bring both hands down to the earth, or maybe that left hand comes to the top of the right knee. And just take an easy twist, trying to stay as tall through the spine as you can. Take another breath in. And then exhale, release, come back to center, inhale, both arms high. And then exhale, open to the left. Just starting to bring that twist, that sensation through the spine, the back body. Take another breath in, and then release, come back to center, bring both arms high. And then exhale, just bring them through heart center, and we'll roll over our ankles and knees and come on to up to our knees. So if your knees are sensitive here, roll over your mat or grab a pillow or something to put underneath. We're going to come into a heart opener, bringing the hands to the back body. Bring the shoulder blades together. So if you're squeezing that imaginary tennis ball back there. And then lifting from the heart center, your gaze can maybe walk up a little bit toward the ceiling. Maybe you keep it straight ahead and really just focus on lifting from the heart, softening down through the shoulders. And breathing fully, opening through the front of the body. Take another breath in. And then exhale, come back up to center and just gently guide your hips back to your heels. Come back into your child's pose. Hands can be back by your heels as well. Forehead to the earth. And just round through the back body. Sending the breath there. Inhale, come on back up, and we'll do one more. Come back into your starting place with the hands on the back body, or maybe they're at your hips if your shoulders are tight. Bring the shoulder blades together, and then as you gently drop them down your back, lift from the heart center, and lift up from the belly button. And then guide the shoulders down a little bit more. If it's okay on your neck and throat, you can bring the gaze all the way up or even toward the back. And using an inhale breath, come all the way back up. And again, guiding the hips back to your child's pose. Hips to your heels, hands back by your feet.
But now that Chrissy's refinancing with Amerisave, with just a few clicks, she could be on her way to a lifetime of savings. Mortgage rates are at near historic lows, so go to Amerisave.com or call 866-514.
With your next inhale, come on back up, and let's step the right foot forward. Inhale, both arms high. And then exhale the hands together through heart center, and we'll take a prayer twist. So twisting to the right, and then dropping that right elbow. Can come right down on top of the knee, inside, outside. Wherever your body finds the twist, and you can breathe fully and deeply, filling the belly, creating length through the spine. One more full breath here. And then release, come back to center, send the arms high, lift the heart straight up, so feel the front of the body lengthening. And then exhale, release the hands to the earth, step that right foot back, come back, or not come back, but come into your table. We weren't really here yet. And let's take a breath through our cat-cow. So dropping the heart and lifting the tail, ground through the palms, and then reverse your breath as you reverse the body, rounding the spine, gently tucking the tail. Take that again in each direction. And then coming back to center, we'll take the left foot forward. Inhale, both arms high, lengthen up, and then exhale, hands together through heart center, and this time twist to the left. Right elbow can drop right on top. Inside, outside, pressing the palms together, filling the belly with breath. One more full breath. And then coming back to center, send the arms high, lift up from the heart, lengthen, and then exhale, release it. Both hands back down. Step that left knee back to meet the right back into your table, and come back through the cat-cow for a breath in each direction.
And then come back to your child's pose. You can keep your fingertips forward, tented fingertips. For this one, forehead toward the earth and really rounding through the back body. Take another full breath. And then come back through your table. This time we're going to come into our plank. So you can just kind of walk your knees back a little bit and drop your hips coming into a supported plank. Knees and toes can be down, or you can bring your knees and lift your toes. Some of you I know will want to come into your full high plank, bringing the toes down, lifting the knees. So wherever you are, just find that comfortable space where your body can settle in. You're engaging your muscles, engaging your breath, settling the gaze between the thumbs or toward the front edge of the mat. Try not to be lifting the head, but keep the neck nice and long. And then ground down through the palms. So you put a little bit of, almost like as if you were rounding through the back body, not as exaggerated as I am, but think about, you can even do that to feel that. And then come back into your plank. So feeling really strong through the arms starting from the palms. And if your knees are lifted, your legs, your lower body is engaged here, your quadriceps and your glutes. So I'll take one more breath in. And then together we'll lower the knees if they were lifted. Pivot the elbow creases to the front of the room and slowly lower all the way to our belly. Taking your time, trying to let your chest and belly touch at the same time. And then gently press the tops of the feet onto the earth as you engage through the legs. Bring the shoulder blades onto your back and then lift from your heart center, coming into your cobra. Hands can be on or off for this first one. They can just be resting lightly. They can be pressing lightly. And using your back body here to lift you. Take another breath in. If your hands are lifted, bring them back down and then gently press all the way back to your child's pose. Another breath in. And then we'll come back into our plank. Doesn't have to be the same version you just did. If you were in full plank, you can come into a modified version. So come into the place that works for you. You can breathe and still find some softness. Make sure the jaw isn't clenched, the muscles on the face are relaxed. The breath is flowing. Take another breath in. And then if your knees are lifted, lower them. And then we'll slowly all lower to our belly. And then coming into your cobra. You come into whatever height feels good. You can come into a low, a medium, a high cobra, or even an upward facing dog. Take another breath in. And then exhale, send it all back to your child's pose. And really let that child's pose be a rest and a reset for you. Try to send the breath to the back body, the hips, anywhere that you feel your body needs a little bit. One more full breath here. And we'll come back through. Back into our plank. One more time through. Finding the ease, filling the breath, making sure the oxygen is there to fuel the muscles. Take another breath in, and then you take it to your belly at your pace. And then inhale up into your back bend. And then exhale, send it all the way back into your child's pose. Take one more full breath here. And then come on back through your table and let's come into a downward facing dog. So bring the hips to the sky, come into your inverted V. Let's walk this out a little bit, finding length. The backs of the legs. Grounding through the palms, starting there, feeling the energy move up the arms, shoulders, and then hips down through the heels. Take another full breath. And then let's walk the hands and feet together, coming into a ragdoll. You can be anywhere on your mat here. Grab opposite elbows. Drop the crown of the head. Make sure your feet are wide enough that you can balance comfortably. So hip distance, but 2 fists fit right between those big toes. Let the gaze drift to the back of your mat. And try to let your whole upper body just relax and release here. The upper back, the shoulders, the neck, let it all run out through the crown of the head. You can give a little sway side to side. Any other movements to help encourage those muscles to release. And then releasing the arms, we're going to stay in our fold and come into a shoulder opener. So bringing the fingertips to interlace on the lower back. If your shoulders are tight, maybe you just bring them to rest on your lower back, or you try to grab opposite elbows. If you do interlace the fingers, then let them drop over toward the front of your mat. Try to soften through the shoulders. And just notice also where the weight is distributed in your feet. Most of us have a tendency for it to fall either toward the heels or towards the toes. And just see if you can make that distribution a little bit more even throughout the whole foot. Take another full breath here. And then release the arms. Step back into your downward facing dog. Take another breath in. And then exhale, let's drop back down into our table. We'll take that right foot forward and come into a lunge. So if you have blocks, maybe you use them on either side, or you could start up tall. So we're going to start to lengthen into our, I should turn this way, into our left hip flexor. Lengthening here. So grounding into that right heel. And if you stay up tall, you can just let your hands rest on your right leg, or you can keep them at your waist, whatever's comfortable for you. And start to just lengthen on that left side, all the while keeping that right heel grounded, so to keep the squaring in the hips as you start to soften down. If you're using your blocks, you can use them on the other side. At any height, maybe you start up at the highest here, just to give yourself a little support and try to encourage the shoulders to stay nice and soft. Just breathing here into the hips, softening as much as you can. Another breath. And bring this all the way back into our hamstring, sending the hips back, flexing the right toes. Maybe you walk the hands back a little bit on or off blocks. And just flexing through that right heel and toes, lengthening on the right side. Maybe take an inhale, come up to fingertips and lengthen through the spine. And then as you exhale, soften into the fold. Take another full breath here. Come back into your lunge. This time bring that right hand inside the right knee, coming into our lizard. So keeping that right shoulder, right knee connected, still grounding into that right heel. So that right hip doesn't drop too far in. You want to still keep some strength, some muscle awareness on the right side. You could be up. Support here as well. And some of you might be down even lower on forearms. And just sending the breath and trying to find softness. Take another full breath here. And we'll open this up a little bit. Turn the right toes to 1 or 2 o'clock. Roll onto the outer edge of that foot and let that right knee drop open. So this should feel really good. Just starting to open and get into that right outer hip a little bit. Almost like a half pigeon type of stretch. You can bring a little bit of movement to this. Just a very, very tiny bit to just kind of help encourage the openness. Continuing to ground through the hands, whether they're on the earth or on a block. If you want to add the twist, take the right hand to the top of that right knee or thigh, and then leading with your heart, twist open to the right. Let that right shoulder blade get heavy on your back. Just a few breaths here, continuing to ground into that left palm. Another breath in, and then release and come back to center. And let's take that right foot all the way over to the left and come into our half pigeon. So heel toe over to the left, drop that right knee, and then come down into your half pigeon. If you do practice this recline, then you can come onto your back and cross the right ankle over left knee. Otherwise, we'll just stay for a few breaths. So try to find your pose, try to find your place in it. Where you're softening, you can stay upright. You can have a support underneath that right hip. You can walk your hands forward, maybe come down to forearms or some other support or prop down here. And let's take about 10 deep rounds of breath here. Really trying to send the breath to that right hip, the left hip flexor, anywhere else your body's feeling the opening. When you feel like you want to start to fidget and try to move out of the pose, just try to dig a little deeper for your breath and stay in it. Find the stillness. Find the deep breath. One more full breath here. And then starting to shift the weight onto that right hip. Let's bring the back leg around. If you're on your back, you can just kind of uncross and rock and roll back up to a seat. And then we'll cross over into a double pigeon. So taking the left ankle over the right knee. Trying to stack the shins parallel, keeping both feet flexed. If this does not work for your body at all, try lengthening the lower leg and just crossing like a figure 4, the left ankle over the right knee. Otherwise, trying to come into your version of the double pigeon sitting up nice and tall through the spine. We'll take the right arm high, lengthen it up, and then bend the elbow, take that right hand right between your shoulder blades. Take the left hand to nudge that elbow a little closer to center. So really lengthening through the tricep on the right side, pressing the back of the head into that arm so that your gaze comes up. It's natural that you're kind of looking down toward your lap. So you want to try to keep the neck long. And either stay right here or you can add a half bind, taking that left hand to the lower back. Or maybe walk that left hand up, try to find the right fingertips coming into a full bind. Wherever you are, sitting tall, softening as much as you can in the lower body, lengthening through that right arm. 2 more full breaths.
This year, I want to feel healthy and eat fresh. Luckily, Aldi is the place to get
More
all
inhale.
at the lowest of low prices.
And exhale, release both arms.
She thought
Give a
Aldi
little shake.
was the freshest.
And then release both legs, stretch them forward, give them a little shake. And then we'll just kind of cross over, come back onto into our table and back into a downward facing dog.
We're available. Curbside pickup. Friends don't let
We're
friends
just using
into
this
our
as a
groceries.
reset.
Aldi. Shop differently.
Take an inhale and exhale, drop down to the knees. And then walking either the knees or the toes back, coming into your plank. Taking a few breaths here, just bringing back that awareness to our core. One more breath in, and then take it all the way in and lift. Or back, or cobra, or upward facing dog. Another breath in, and then exhale it all the way back to your child's pose. Another full breath here. And then inhale, come on back up, and we'll take the left foot forward. We'll come into our hips on the left. So maybe bringing your blocks. Maybe starting upright and just starting to lengthen through that left hip flexor. Grounding into that left heel, and just starting to lengthen. Hands on the hips or hands on the leg, or maybe using your blocks. Try and keep the shoulders soft, not punching or rounding up on them. Few more breaths here, sending the breath now into that right hip flexor, lengthening. Another full breath. And then slowly starting to send the hips back, coming into our hamstring, flexing that left foot to the sky. Take an inhale, come to fingertips and lengthen, sending the crown of the head forward. Then exhale, keeping that length, drop into your fold.
Another full breath here. Inhale, come forward, and this time we'll bring both hands inside that left leg, leaning toward lizard. So maybe you're on fingertips or a block, flat on your palms, or maybe even further down on your forearms. So continue to ground into that left heel. So if I don't, see how you just kind of drop in, those of you that are able. You want to try to keep that strength so you don't overflex the right hip flexor. Keeping the strength and the muscle awareness on that left side. Slowly softening in using the breath. Another full breath here. And then we'll turn the left toes out just a little bit, roll onto the outer edge of that foot. Open up. And just starting to now bring the awareness to that outer left hip. Sending the breath there. And then staying here, adding the twist, left hand to that left thigh or knee, and then leading with the heart, twisting open to the left, grounding into that right palm. Another breath in. And then release and come back to center. And then we're going to heel toe that left foot all the way over to the right, coming into our half pigeon on the left. Or coming onto your back, crossing left ankle over right knee, coming into your reclined version of your pigeon. So finding your place, staying upright, or keeping the fingers forward, or maybe walking them forward, coming down to forearms. Finding the softness here for about 10 breaths. Digging a little deeper for that breath when your body starts to want to fidget and want to come out. A few more breaths, so stay in it. Take one more full breath. And then start to make your way out, shifting your weight to the left hip, bring the right leg around. If you're on your back, uncrossing and rock and roll your way up to a seat. We'll come into our double pigeon on the right ankle, cross over left knee. Sitting up nice and tall. And then taking that left hand up high, bending the elbow, bringing that left hand between the shoulder blades. Right hand can take that elbow to nudge it a little closer to center, making sure the back of the head is pressing. And staying right here, or maybe adding the half bind, right hand come to the lower back. Maybe it walks up and tries to find those left fingertips. Either way, sitting tall, breathing fully. 3 more. One more inhale. And exhale, release the arms,
A little shake, go through the shoulders, release the legs, stretch them long, give them a little shake. Then cross over, come back into your table. And then from there into your downward facing dog. And just take a breath or two or three, walking or in stillness, just resetting. And then from here, either dropping back into your table or just hinging forward, come into your high plank or your plank. It doesn't have to be high plank. It can be modified plank. Knees down, toes down, whichever version of your plank feels right to you at this point in your practice. Take another breath in, and then everybody slowly lower it all the way to your belly. Inhale, come into your cobra. And then exhale, send it all back to your child's pose. Another full breath there. And then shifting the weight to one side, swing your legs around in front. And we'll come down to our backs through a little bit of core. So come into the center of your mat to make sure you have enough room to come all the way down behind. And then let's come into our boat pose. So toes, eye level, fingertips start forward. Maybe you start with your hands behind your legs so you can really lift the heart and lengthen through the spine and really feel that. And then engaging the core before you let go of the hands so that you can keep that long spine and the heart lifted. And then maybe start to lengthen the legs a little bit, maybe send the arms away from the body a little bit. Wherever you are, where that core engages, and we'll stay here for 10, 9, just breathing, maybe even close the eyes, really focus on the breath. 7, 6, when your body starts to quiver and shake a little bit, that's good. That means those muscles are really working hard to keep you lifted. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more inhale, and then hug the knees into the chest, round through the spine, and just let your body soften, relax, and release. Take another inhale, and then exhale, come back into your boat. And we'll come back into that same place. This time we'll lower it down. We're going to hold for 5, then lower for 5. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and then slowly starting to lower 4, opening maybe a little wider. 3, 2, 1, and release everything down. Take an inhale and open mouth, exhale. Lengthen the arms overhead, lengthen the toes in the other direction. Inhale, and then exhale, release. And let's come into one bridge pose, setting up the feet. Parallel hip distance. And then take an inhale, imprint the lower back. As you exhale, lift the hips, ground into the heels. Walk the shoulder blades together. Use the quadriceps to lift the hips. Bring the gaze straight up to the sky so the neck comes off the chin, allowing the breath to flow. And from here, we'll take 5 more full breaths. And one more inhale. And with the exhale, slowly walk the shoulders apart. Come all the way down. Bring the soles of the feet together. We'll come back to where we started. If you started here, Supta Baddha Konasana, and if you have blocks to support underneath the legs, go ahead and bring them there, either under the knees or under the thighs, wherever is most comfortable. Take your arms by your sides, or you can let them rest on your belly and your heart. Inhale, and open mouth, exhale. One more full breath.
release, bring the knees together, hug them into your center. And maybe send them high for just a few breaths for an inversion, coming into Viparita Karani. If you have a block, maybe underneath your lower back for a little bit more height. Or maybe you scooch right up against a wall if you have one nearby. If you practice shoulder stand, and you prefer to come there, of course. Come on into shoulder stand using your hands on the lower back for support. If you're in shoulder stand, starting to make your way into plow. And then eventually, everyone making your way out of the inversion, hugging the knees into your chest, coming into a spinal twist, knees to the right, gaze to the left, and take 3 deep breaths. And then coming back to center, then taking the opposite side, knees to the left, knees to the right. 3 deep breaths. And then coming back to center and preparing for your Shavasana, extending everything long. Heels to the corners of the mats, maybe arms overhead. Take an inhale. And then exhale, release everything long, arms by your sides. Softening the face, relaxing the physical body. And coming back into the breath. Letting that fill the space in the front of your head, pushing aside any thoughts that might start to bubble back up. Starting to bring some awareness back. Lengthening your breath. And with your next inhale, taking a deep breath, lengthening the arms overhead, stretching everything long. And exhaling, hugging everything in tight, squeezing the knees in, making a tight little ball. And dropping everything to one side, taking another deep, full breath. And making your way back up to a comfortable upright. Bring the hands together at the heart center. Bring back to mind your intention or dedication. Try to see it clearly. Fill up the front of your mind with that. For our hearts, honoring our souls. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank